So today's video is a quite quick and easy one. I'm making a set of ATCs for a swap that I'm taking part in, and the theme is red, white and blue. So I'm based here in the UK and I'm going to go for a nice British theme. I've got this fabulous stencil from Visible Image. I'll pop the link to their shop below in the description, and I'm going to be using that for my background, and then I'm going to be doing some stamping over the top. So I've chosen two colours of Distress Oxide. I like using these with my stencils. They're nice and bright colours. I've got Candied Apple and Salty Ocean. I've got a couple of foam applicator tools that I'm going to use. And I've got a bit of old washi tape that I don't like much that I'm going to use for mask off areas so I don't get my colours in the wrong sections. So basically, today, obviously this stencil is a lot bigger than my ATC, and I thought it might be quite funky to have it off-centered at an angle randomly in my background. So that's what I'm going for this time. So I'm just going to use the washi tape to sort of mask off bits, because I'm going to start with the red, so I need to mask off any areas where the blue ink's going to be, but also that'll act to help hold it down in place as well. And I like using washi tape for this. Sometimes we get these sets and there's one in there that you don't particularly like. So just use it instead of masking tape. It peels off easily without damaging your paper. So why not? So I think that should do it, and it's got hold of that. Everything's in place, so it shouldn't move. So I'm going to begin by using the red and just blending it through the stencil, using a circular motion. I love this Candied Apple colour, beautiful bright red. And I'm going to be doing basically the same thing on all three ATCs. I'm just going to adjust the angle that I've got this stencil so that they all look slightly different. And I'm going to do the red on all of them. I know that I could lift this tape off and do the blue. It's going to be easy enough for me to line this back up over my piece of card when I come back to do this one. And I don't want to have to keep washing the stencil, so I'm going to do all the red first, because otherwise if I go in with the blue, it's going to smear some of this red ink. So I'm just going to put that to one side. And then I'm going to repeat this on my second one. Again, just deciding where I'm going to place it. I think I'm going to use a bit of new tape. And just tape it down, masking off those areas that I don't want the red ink to go into. So now I've replaced my stencil, and this time I've masked over the red areas where I don't want my blue ink to go, and I'm just going to repeat this process, but now using the Salty Ocean ink in the other areas of the stencil. that's the first one finished. And as you can see, it's really easy to line this stencil back up where it was originally. And then just use these little bits of washi tape to mask off any areas where we don't want the blue ink to go over. I'll just give those a chance to dry off, and I'll go and clean off my stencil, and then we'll be ready to do the focal image stamping on there. Now that I've cleaned my stencil up and my backgrounds are dry, I'm going to stamp my focal image. And the stamp I'm using is this, it's a pair of feet wearing like Converse trainers, and it's my Visible Image, part of the Teenage Kicks set. This is the original set. The newer set has a couple of other images in there as well. It's got some bricks and an ink splat. I've got the old packaging here, so it doesn't really reflect what's in the new set, but this exact stamp is still available. And for this, I'm using my stamp press. I want to be sure to get a nice crisp image, so if I need to do it twice, I can do that with my stamp press. I'm stamping it onto a piece of white card, and then I'm going to fussy cut it. I could stamp directly onto my background, but because part of the pumps, I want them to be white, the laces and the toe cap, if I stamp that over my patterned background, part of those areas will show the colour through, and I don't want that. So the simplest way to do this is to stamp it onto a piece of white card and fussy cut and layer up onto the background. So I've got 3 pieces of white card cut out. The reason I've got this piece of paper in the background is because I don't need the full length of the legs, and it's just to stop me from getting ink on the foam in the background. I'm going to be using my VersaFine Onyx Black for this. It's a really nice black ink, gives a good image, and I'm hoping I'll get a good image in one stamp. But at least with the stamp press, as I say, I've got the option to go back in again if there's any areas where it hasn't quite covered to my satisfaction. So that's one, and I'm just going to go back in and repeat this. I'll take this stamp off here, I'll clean that up later. Get rid of that bit of ink off there. And I'll get my scissors and we'll cut these images out, ready to layer on. Right, so now I've cut out my focal images, I'm going to put them onto the backgrounds. And I think I might use a bit of 3D foam for this, just so that they're sort of popped up a little bit. So I'm undecided if I want to stamp anything else onto the background, and I just need to make that decision before I put the 3D foam on. I kind of like to have words of some description, and I'm wondering if I need to stamp or if I'm going to use some stickers or some cutouts from a book. And I think I'm going to use some cutouts, so I'll go ahead and get the 3D foam and get these stuck onto my backgrounds. So this is just like the foam tape on a roll. If you've got the little foam squares, you can use that. A bit of silicone glue. It's just nice sometimes to have a bit of dimension on an ATC. So when I put these into position, I'll just trim off the excess that's overhanging the edge of the ATC. I'm just going to repeat that on the others, and then I'll be back again. So I decided to cut some words out of my thesaurus. This is my, for crafting purposes, thesaurus, and it was just from a charity shop. And I've cut out the definitions for red, white and blue, because that's what this theme is, and I'm going to stick one of each of those onto the backgrounds. Just going to use a little bit of glue just to hold them in place. Just tucking that in behind there. And then I'm just going to neaten up that edge where it's just overhanging very slightly. And I'm going to finish off with a border around the edge, and I'm just going to outline the definition with a pen. This is just a bit of black soot Distress ink, which just frames things off quite nicely. And there we have my red, white and blue ATCs. Hope you enjoyed this simple video today, and if you did, as always, leave me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And check out the link in the description below if you're interested in either the stamps or the stencil visible image. I've got some really nice sort of trendy young ideas for stamps and stencils. It's worth looking at their shop if you're not familiar with their brand. So that's all for today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.